بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام الأتمان الأكملان على رسولنا ونبينا وقدوتنا وحبيبنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم أرنا الحق حقا وارزقنا اتباعه وأرنا الباطل باطلا وارزقنا اجتنابه. ربنا اشرح صدورنا ويسر أمورنا واحلل عقدة من ألسنتنا كي تفقه أقوالنا. May Allah bless you all for coming. May Allah grant you much reward for every step when you came here, for your attention. Today, inshallah, we'll have a very interesting topic where we believe that the scholars, Muslim scholars, before they used to focus about the methodology of seeking Sharia knowledge, which means they will not allow anyone to start learning Sharia before giving him the manhaj or the way, the schedule how to start learning Sharia. And in other hands, if we ask nowadays question, maybe if you go to a center to seek the Sharia or a college, or which book you will start with, the subject. Sometimes you see student comes to center, they don't know, they want to learn, they came with a strong desire, high ambitious to learn, but they don't know what is the first book. And the books, all of them are important, right? All we think it attracts the students. So let's, just friendly question. What do you think? What book we should start with? Or what topic, what subject?
Sorry, by the way, is it mythology or
methodology is...
or methodology?
Methodology, yes.
Methodology.
So the manhaj.
Methodology.
Methodology, yeah, I didn't correct that.
Yeah. Methodology.
Okay. This one of the thing I have to apologize. This it has to be in a course, done in a course. But since I'm traveling, I didn't expect that I will be too busy. So the last 2 weeks I couldn't find any time. So I did this all at night. So what we go back to our point, right? How will you start if you just go to center, or you want to advise your son, for example, your friend? Which book you suggest? Which subject you advise your friend, yourself to begin with?
In terms of
Sharia knowledge.
Sharia.
Yes.
Quran.
Al-Quran. It's very good. But Quran may takes time. So if somebody came, Quran for memorizing, understanding, or what? If he comes in the age of 40, 50, 60, you tell him you go to Quran first. He may spend 4 or 5 years, right, to memorize it. Then after that, he will need other subjects to learn. So how do you think? Any idea? Sorry? Aqidah first. Good. Then which book of Aqidah? Aqidah is what?
Kitab al-Tawheed.
Kitab al-Tawheed. Why Kitab al-Tawheed? There are many books before Kitab al-Tawheed. Right? Why exactly Kitab al-Tawheed? All these questions the student have to ask before the scholar will choose for you. So in the times of our first generation, the four imams, and when you come, the scholar himself will choose for you. Imam Shafi'i, when he went to Imam Malik to learn Muwatta, was 9 years old. So as you know, Shafi'i, he was born in Gaza, but when his father passed away, his mother took him to his grandparents to Mecca, right? So he memorized Quran in Mecca. Then after that he heard about Imam Malik. Traveled to Malik. The classes in that time, when somebody young, they will ask someone after Quran, someone to correct his reading. We have an asatida. Like time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, a Sahabi who memorized Quran from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Abu Darda, or he will just sit like this and his student teach others. If they get some difficulties with the matters of Quran, they refer to a Sahabi. So Malik said, I will find somebody to teach you first, to correct your reading. Imam Shafi'i said, test me first. If you think I need a teacher or somebody to correct, then I will do. So mashallah, he memorized it they say he memorized Al-Muwatta in 9 days. So he has a very strong memory. Shafi'i, rahimahullah, 1,800 hadith. Anyway, this is a very important topic, as we mentioned. That is why what we are going to do, inshallah, the summary, as we mentioned, it has to be in detail, course, meaning we'll tell you how to begin, the book you should start, how to study that book, and each subject, it has levels. Just for example, if we talk about Arabic language, it has 12 subjects. Nahu, Sarf, Balagha, Bayan, Badi', Al-Lugha, Fiqh al-Lugha, Al-Khitaba, Al-Insha, all these, and each one has minimum 3 levels. So meaning you will spend years only for Arabic language. Then you go to Mustalah Hadith, the same, the Hadith, the Takhrir. So that's why it's called manage. Manage the Shariah books, how to start, with what to start in order to achieve the level of mujtahideen and scholars. We will do that inshallah today. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah says, الجهل بالطريق يوجب التعب الكثير مع الفائدة القليلة. Al-Jahl means when you ignore the way of learning. When you do not get to the right, or when you do not choose the right path to learn Shariah, يوجب التعب. The result of it, or the sequences of missing the right way is, you will be too tired. And the fa'idah, benefits, is a little. Right? So that is why Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he is a messenger. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala could just send to him a Quran without teacher. He doesn't need teacher, right? But he sent him who? Jibreel alayhi salam to teach Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. So it's like a way we have to have somebody qualified to teach us. And then Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam was nervous, wanted to, want to keep Quran faster. Allah says, لا تحرك به لسانك لتعجل به. Do not read fast. We will make sure, inshallah, you will memorize it. Then the Quran will be firm in your hearts. Right? Then send Jibreel alayhi salam to teach him also the Tawheed. How do we know Arkan al-Islam, Arkan al-Iman? How he came, Jibreel, the sitting way, how Jibreel sit with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam knees to knees. And the way he was asking, Allah will not need all these things. You just can send to a messenger directly. Arkan Islam, Arkan Iman, Arkan. But what he sent Jibreel in a form of what? A human being. In a long hadith that reported by Bukhari and Muslim. As-Sakhawi said also the famous rulings. One of the famous rules in Shariah, من دخل في العلم وحده خرج وحده. The one who enters and starts studying without teacher, without sheikh, he will not get the skill. Meaning he will have his own madhab, own opinion, own understanding, own aqidah. So when we want to learn a skill, we have to go to somebody who is skillful in anything, right? You cannot just now go and fix the car. Anyone, we give him our car to fix, or any doctor. When we go to hospital, we see the background of doctor, and even his doctor, whether he's specialized or not, if he's specialized, where he studied, his research, why we do that? Because Allah says in the Quran, فَاسْأَلْ بِهِ خَبِيرًا. In Surah Al-Furqan, you should ask somebody who's knowledgeable, right? This is one of the famous poems of Abu Hayyan Andalusi. يظن الغمر, the ignorance, that it's enough to study only from books without sheikh. And وما يدري الجهول بأن فيها علوما أو غوامض حيرت عقل الفهيم. So there is something it has. You need a teacher. It was a famous story. Somebody said, I could memorize Quran without teacher. So they asked him to read. He said, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Alam ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. So it should be Alif Lam Mim, right? So he read it as Alam ذلك الكتاب لا ريب فيه. إذا رمت العلوم بغير شيخ ضللت عن الصراط المستقيم. So when you seek knowledge without having sheikh, so you will miss the right path. Just like Tuma, وتلتبس عليك الأمور حتى تصير أضل من توما الحكيم. They were famous Hakim at that time, a philosophy. He read the hadith of the Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم, الحبة السوداء شفاء لكل داء. الحبة السوداء شفاء, cure everything except maut, death. So it was no harakat, no dot. He read it as al-hayya. Al-hayyat al-sawda means black snake. Yeah, so cure all types of disease except. So he started killing people by using what? Snakes. So meaning only one dot from habba change it to what? To al-hayya. Wal-iyadu billah. So it shows we must, I mean the first stages, as we are going to say, to have a scholar. The student, when we talk about categories of students, divided into three. We call the first one random way, meaning a person who just came and he learned from here aqidah. After that, I mean, he go to fiqh. After fiqh, go to Arabic language, then sirah. Then take all in one. Take what? All in one. At the beginning, we are talking about beginning, when he just came to this, sometimes you call, maybe here they call funduk, right? Some other country called zawaya, in Algeria zawaya, in Mauritania called mahdara, in the Gulf country called the majalis, hilaq. So he goes this halaqa of aqidah. I attend that. After that I go to qira'at, after that I go to Bukhari, after that. So all these books are a bit heavy, like usul al-fiqh, mustalah hadith, Arabic language. You cannot combine them at the beginning. So this what will happen? As Imam Zuhri rahimahullah, who passed away 124, مَنْ رَامَ الْعِلْمَ جُمْلَةً ذَهَبَ عَنْهُ جُمْلَةً. The one who takes knowledge at once, he will miss it or forget it at once. So knowledge, step by step. And that is why you see the differences now between the school of the Maghariba. Maghariba, what we mean by Maghariba means the Algeria, Tunisia, Zaytuna, Moroccan, and the school of the Hijaziyin, like Medina, Mecca, and the school of Egyptian, school of the Swara an-Nahr, Indian, Pakistan, school of Shangid. All they have their ways. One of the best way nowadays, it takes time, but you see the result, the quality of scholars is the way of Shangid scholar. Shangid way. Meaning, you go book after book. The Ustad will choose a book for you. And you will not go to a next, he will not allow you until he tests you and you teach it. You teach the book. Then after that you go to next. Usually after 7-10 years they are scholar. That's why when they go everywhere, you find them people, they will like see is something different from others. unlike, maybe you go to, you don't want to mention names of the countries, but you see always sometimes a general knowledge, sometimes always they refer to books. The knowledge is not in their hearts, right? So the first one is a random, take everything. Second way is reversal way, meaning if I want to learn tajweed, for example, there is a book called, for example, Tuhfatul Atfal. This tuhfa is something to know about nun sakina, tanween, ra'at, and mudud. That's all. Brief. After that, you go to Al-Jazariyah, for example, right? A bit deeper. Makharij, sifat. After that, I go to, if I want to combine qira'at, I go to Shatibiyyah, which combines 7 qira'at. If I start with the Shatibiyyah first, definitely I will not continue, because it's too heavy. That's why some books like Muwafaqat of Imam Shatibi in a Usul Fiqh, he mentioned in his introduction that this book is not for everyone. The student have to have a good background of Arabic language, Usul Fiqh, Arabic language, not just speaking, but as a Nahaw, Saraf, Usul Fiqh to understand. Fath al-Bari, for example, for Bukhari, I want to know now the meaning of Bukhari, Sharh al-Bukhari, right? It's not right, I start with Fath al-Bari. Fath al-Bari combining everything, all the explanation of Bukhari before him, he combined them, summarized them, and he add. Because some tafsir is according to language, some tafsir to fiqh, some tafsir of the combination of the ahadith, some tafsir for i'rab. So what he did, he combined everything, Fath al-Bari. So without having good background, you cannot start immediately what? Explanation of Fath al-Bari, right? Tafsir, for example, I want Quran, tafsir Quran. So it's not a right way to go to At-Tabari, to start with At-Tabari. Tafsir At-Tabari, he put there everything. The qira'at, the tafsir with the athar, the fiqh, So what we start with in a tafsir, for example, with a sample tafsir. We will come to that in detail. Maybe Al-Jalalain, or before Al-Jalalain, vocabulary of the Quran. After that we go to Ibn Kathir, for example, Athar. We will mention that, inshallah. The last way is a scholar way. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَلَكِنْ كُونُوا رَبَّانِيِّينَ بِمَا كُنْتُمْ تُعَلِّمُونَ الْكِتَابَ وَبِمَا كُنْتُمْ تَدْرُسُونَ. Another riwayah, وَبِمَا كُنْتُمْ تُدَرِّسُونَ. So Al-Rabbani, according to Ibn Abbas, the one الذي يبدأ بصغار العلم قبل كباره, the one who follows the steps of learning Shariah, step by step. Meaning, you start with the صغار العلم, reading Quran, for example, memorizing, after that go to tafsir, first tafsir, second tafsir, third tafsir. And it's the sunnah of ulama. And nowadays, they were few years ago, there were research at University Malaya about the quality of scholars. They, according to the research, they could not find the one who fulfill the condition of mujtahid, which means we don't have mujtahideen in the world. Maybe you can find mujtahid in some chapters, right? But the quality of like the 4 imams before, mujtahid. What does mean mujtahid? He is able to deliver a fatwa. What does mean al-fatwa? Al-fatwa, it means it doesn't have a clear text mentioned in a Quran or a hadith. So according to his level of knowledge, he will derive fatwa from his understanding of the Quran and the Sunnah and the rulings of Shariah. So we don't have these types of scholars nowadays, or a little. Why? The main reason, because we miss the methodology of Sharia scholars. We think you want to study Sharia, go to university. The university will never make you scholar. Never. The university will help you maybe academically, how to do research, how to maybe to help you to maybe to go, your voice will reach to more people, right? But if you want to be a scholar, Sharia or universities is not the way. Because the universities, they use the first methodology we mentioned. They take everything at once. They don't know your background. You come to Jamia, in a fiqh, for example, you study Bidayat al-Mujtahid. Bidayat al-Mujtahid is a book for someone who has finished his madhab. Like you are Shafi'i here, you finish all madhab al-Shafi'i. Right? Then you go to a second level where you study comparative study. Right? But you just came and give you a comparative study, you go without, because you don't have any foundations. Right? So the student will graduate with what? General Islamic knowledge. So the best way, like nowadays necessary to go to university, is to combine. Study at university, same time you have a scholar to follow him outside of university. This scholar can be a lecturer at university or can be someone else, but individual classes. Somebody specialized in hadith, you go and choose the book 1, 2, 3, 4. The fiqh, the same. The Arabic language, the qira'at, 1, 2. But for you, maybe you have children, they want to study Sharia, you have to think from now. You want them to become scholar, they have to be patient to combine. But sending them to university without having good background, they will not benefit anything, except certificates. You benefit certificates. Allah understand. So we say the result of the first one. The student may continue learning, he will continue, but what he will receive, what he will benefit after 10, 20 years, 30 years is just general knowledge. Meaning you can't here. At the beginning you take at once many things. Maybe some of you will ask question, how come Imam Nawawi used to learn 12 subjects daily? Imam Nawawi spent 4 years in Dimashq. He doesn't sleep, he just lay down for an hour, or then he continued. 4 years, every day he learned 12 subjects. So these, after having strong background, you can do that. So the Sharia scholar have a beautiful rule. خذ من كل شيء شيء ومن شيء كل شيء. جزاك الله خير. Take from every subject or science a subject, and take from one subject everything. What does it mean? As a student, I come to learn. I take a foundation in Aqidah, and that all have to come with the Quran. The student without Quran, he is not student. We should know this. The Quran, every student must begin with the Quran and continue with the Quran. Many will come now, Quran is very heavy, I cannot go to the Quran, or sometimes even very strange opinion that the Quran is not important to memorize Quran. Or we should believe that the Quran is not something heavy. The Quran is a way to help you for other subjects. We should believe the Quran will help you what? For all subjects. You may not have the time, right? But what you will do, I have 1 hour before Subuh or after Subuh only for Quran. Memorizing 1 line, 2 lines, but it has to be continuous. After Maghrib, from Maghrib and Isha is my time for revision. Just 2 times. One, you memorize, and one, you revise. One day at the end, like Thursday or Friday, no, I don't memorize. I just revise what I have memorized in these few days. Can be 3, 4 lines, can be half page, 1 page, but do not stop memorizing Quran. Because the Quran will help you, will increase your memory for other things. You will need to memorize the hadith, the rulings, the matters, will help you for evidences. When you have a Quran, you can speak about any topic actually. Because the topics of Shariah, according to Sahaba way, is to deal the verses that matches the topic, right? The explanation of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam or Sahaba, a hadith, then how to, maybe the story of Salaf. Or meaning when you have the Quran in your heart, is already 70% of any charama is in your heart. Right or not? And you don't need to open Mus'haf like I see sometimes with the respect of the Ustad, or they teach tafsir and they mistakes even in reading of Quran. How can a person tafsir of Quran, he himself don't know how to read Quran? This is not. We can understand maybe he can't memorize, but the mistakes in reading, it shouldn't be there. Right? So the scholars before used to believe, do not allow anyone to begin anything without memorizing. But we cannot apply this nowadays. Depends on the time and age. So if somebody came, his age 50 years or 60 years, we cannot say, go, memorize them. We say, start, same time, you do other things. So you have your schedule for Quran, daily schedule, plus what? The others. So Quran always will work with what? Tafsir and something else. So tafsir will help you, and as both of them are what? Considered soft when you memorize Quran, then a tafsir is a light subject, right? We'll come in detail inshallah. The last one is a student, the second one, student definitely will stop seeking knowledge because it's too heavy. When I start with Fath al-Bari, or start with certain books that's heavy, I feel tired and I feel I cannot understand. So most of the students, they give up. Usually when you go to Medina, maybe Haram Nabawi, you find this class of Bukhari, this class of Sunan, this class of Nahu, this class of Aqidah, this class of Qira'at. And Mashayikh nowadays, they don't ask you what do you want or have you studied this or that. You just go and sit, right? Some people, mashallah, when they go there, they love knowledge. They want to, seek Shariah. They go to a class, heavy class. I remember one of my mashayikh in Medina, may Allah have mercy on him. He was teaching Kitab al-Kafi in Fiqh al-Hanabila. It's considered one of the highest book in Fiqh. After, in Fiqh Hanbali, we take the Al-Umda, then we go to Az-Zad, then so consider 4th level on. So I attended his class. I couldn't understand much. So I asked Sheikh whether you can give me individual class in Umda. Or he referred me to his student. Well, his student have a Umda and his tasjil, because in Medina they record everything. So I find only 4 or 5 students in his class. He is a student who teach Umda, hundreds of students. Why? Because the level of this class is different from this. So just like now we say Matn Abi Shuja' in Fiqh Shafi'i, for example, right? Or we go to Kitab Al-Qaffal, for example, or we go to Al-Wajiz, for example, for Al-Ghazali, or Al-Minhaj for Imam Nawawi. Big difference. So person we go, please go with Matn Abi Shuja' first, perfect it, then only you can go to the next. You cannot start with Minhaj, for example, or Al-Wajiz, or Al-Wasit, for example, of Imam Abu Hamid Al-Ghazali. Most of the students, the second one, they will not continue. I remember when I went first time to Shanghai to study, at that time I had to finish some part of Quran. So I went to the Shaykh to study fiqh. He said, finish Quran first. So I last around 10 years old. My friends, they say, you know, Quran, there are many shuyukh in Algeria. You can go back and continue Quran in Algeria. Here, we just pick up what we don't have in Algeria, in our country. But I feel that if you open any story books, I mean Shariah, scholars' books, how they learn, no one start with anything before Quran. So I changed the school. I went to a fully Quran school. I met the friends after 3-4 years. None of them finished Quran, and none of them continue studying, because it's the mythology. Of course, our desire, our nafs, want to learn more, want to learn new things. And when a person begins study, he wants to know everything at once. So it's just like you go to a doctor, you are sick, you want to drive to Malacca or you want a strong medication. If he give you, take 3-4, may kill you, right? Just give one, right? And take a rest for 1 hour, 2 hours. But if one tablet, for example, or may kill a person, now it's the same, right? That's why we have medication for kids, age this to that, medication age to this, and adult on same in Sharia. Everyone has his own what? Books. So the last one is, as scholars, the result. A person usually in a short time, he will see the benefits. In a short time. You don't need to. Imam Sheikh, the latest we talk about our time, the Sheikh Ibrahim al-Sheikh, was a mufti of Saudi before. His condition to accept students is just to finish Quran. Then you spend with him 7 years, you will be able to open your own center as considered scholar. His classes start from Subuh until Isha. Divide the student into 3 categories, and he will choose for you the books. So after, you see now all muftis in Saudi talks all his students. Sheikh Baz who passed away, Sheikh Al-Luhaydan who's still alive, Sheikh Fawzan who's still alive, all Sheikh Al-Uthaymin who passed away, all these top scholars are what? His students. 7 years old. Which means that mythology is very, very important. If we don't follow it, after sometimes you find yourself 5-7 years learning Arabic and you cannot speak Arabic, you cannot write sentences, you give up. See, this knowledge is not for me. Very difficult. Susa, Arabic Susa. You open class Arabic, first class full, second class half, after that close. Right? But when we have mythology, the Arabic language, inshallah, we may just teach. For example, in Arabic, we should know why we are learning Arabic and how to learn Arabic, the objective behind learning Arabic. If you learn just, we say Nahu. What is the objective of Nahu? It's just to know the end of the word. جاء محمد رأيت محمدا مررت بمحمد. So why I say محمد محمد محمد? Because it's either a fa'il, right, or maf'ul bi, or majroor, right? So the moment I achieve that, to recognize, I finish. I don't have to continue, because I learn tafsir, there is nahu. I learn fiqh, there is nahu. Hadith, nahu. I will practice everything. Second thing, nahu is a knowledge of practicing. If you don't practice, no need to learn nahu. If you practice in 5-6 months, you feel the result. You read the board, you go to Saudi Umrah, the board, you can Arab, you can this. You will enjoy. It means you will keep learning. But when you learn qawaid, a noun, you know, with the alif wal lam, with the tanween, and this just like dictionary. No benefit. Because at the end we should know this knowledge. These Sahaba, they don't need this. They don't know this knowledge, right? The 4 imams, they don't know this knowledge. They were native, so the scholars, they did their best to summary and to make this knowledge easy for us to achieve the level of what? Of native in time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. So spending 10 years, 20 years learning Ja'a Zaydun or Aitu Zaydun is a waste of time, right? So we should, this is very important. Sometimes even at university, Quran study, spending 4 years, all is course of Nahaw, I'rab of Quran, but there is no tafsir. So why we learn Arab? Allah says, إِنَّمَا يَخْشَى اللَّهَ مِنْ عِبَادِهِ الْعُلَمَاء. So to make you fear Allah, conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you understand Quran the same way Abu Bakr used to understand. Umar, Uthman, Ali, the Sahaba. So it's not a way just schools argument and these we say Zamakhshari rahimahullah said, for example, or Asma'i said, all these imams of the Arabic language. So these are the 3 categories of student. That's why scholars since the first the 3rd generation, 2nd generation start to write about the methodology of seeking Sharia knowledge. Like Ibn Khuthayma, who passed away 279, Kitab al-Ilm, will teach you how to begin. Imam Ali radiallahu anhu, he has a good introduction. We discussed it last time in a book of Imam Nawawi. We had it, how to seek knowledge. Akhlaq al-ulama for al-Ajuri, also Imam al-Ajuri, very important, the manners of scholars. So now, mostly sometimes we think about students, but actually both teachers and students need to know the methodology of what? Of seeking Sharia knowledge. Ibn Abdul Barr, he has one of the best books, 2 volumes. He will speak in details about the learning Sharia, all types of subjects, and how to write, how to memorize, how to see it, how to choose a book, how to choose your teachers. 2 volumes in details. Al-Khatib al-Baghdadi has 3 books about seeking Sharia. One of them, Taqeed al-Ilm, how to write. When you attend the classes, how to record. Nowadays, how to record, by a camera. Then how to write. So writing is very important. Also, Imam al-Jawzi has more than 2 books. And we have nowadays one of the best book also, Bakr Abu Zayd, rahimahullah. Imam Nubadis, the head of Algerian scholars, who wrote a full methodology to Zaytuna University to produce scholars. Imam Bashir Ibrahimi, many other scholars, Imam Shawkani, rahimahullah, has one of the best book. He will divide the student into 4, or knowledge, 4 categories, and he will tell you if you want to reach the first one, second, third, fourth, what you need to study. And Imam Shawkani rahimahullah, one of the, as you know, the top scholars. Now, why we should learn the methodology? First one is to achieve what? Right goal. The goal of mujtahideen, scholars. So meaning when we learn, our himma, our ambitions has to be high. But when you just attending classes, this class of tajweed, this class of tafsir, this class of usul fiqh, this class, without having a goal, you won't reach. Sometimes the knowledge will may confuse you. Just now, if student came, we say, okay, now you study Aqidah Wasitiyya. We are killing him. Because Aqidah Wasitiyya is actually Imam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, he wrote it for Qadi, a judge of Wasit. when the time there were some philosophy talking about the sifat of Allah, he says, please, can you write something? Aqidah of Salaf. Aqidah of what? Salaf in Asma and Sifat. So Imam Taymiyyah, after Asr, he sit down and write this Aqidah. Nowadays, we spend a year studying this. And he just after Asr wrote it down. So means it was for the people of Wasif and Asma and Sifat. And maybe some groups he mentioned in Taymiyyah in his book does not exist nowadays at all. And Ibn Kathir said a very beautiful statement. Al-Faizu man kana ala aqidat al-ajais. The successful one who has the faith and aqidah of old people. What does it mean? The old people, Muslim, I mean your grandparents or our grandparents, if you say fear Allah, they may cry, right? They don't lie, they don't cheat, they don't, but when you come and you see some group, they believe in asma without sifat, some sifat without asma, some reject asma and sifat, and the hands, it means a power, the eye is a, he will get confused because he believe تبارك الذي بيده الملك, he believe يغضب ربنا, Allah get angry. He doesn't chant this to do say other things. He believe it as a fitra, as a nature. So giving this book first stages is not healthy. That's why in Aqidah some they go to Lum'at I'tiqad for Maqdisi. It's a good book. Or they go like our people, they go to Aqid Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, introduction. Aqid Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani is a foundation for Aqidah. Or like our Shaykh, may Allah have mercy on him, he has a book called Mujmal Aqidat al-Salaf. He wrote a book about Aqidat al-Salaf before the groups comes in. How they used to believe before the groups began. So this will have a good foundation. After that, you want to specialize, or you go to a second level. The firaq, maybe Wasitiyya, Tahawiyya, Tadmuriyya, or but at the beginning you give these books are not healthy at all. The second, to avoid what we say, mistakes. Mistakes will stop you on the way. To shorten the way. Very, very important. The one of the best thing we benefit from Shaykh is to shorten the way, because we learn from their mistakes. For example, now, if someone came to me in the age of 20 years or want to learn tajweed, I don't ask him to memorize Tuhfatul Atfal. I will just straight away go and study Jazariya, because Jazariya include Tuhfa. But somebody came 7 years, 8 years old, I say Tuhfa better for your age. And someone 20, 30, I say for qira'at, 7 qira'at, you go for Shatibiyya, for example. But if he came in 40 years old and he want to learn 10 qira'at, I don't give him Shatibiyya. I say memorize Tayyiba, include all 10 qira'at, Surah and Kubra. So the teacher himself will what? He knows how to what? To reach. I want to learn Mustalah Hadith. If he is too young, I say learn Bayquniyya, 34 points. Right? But if it's a bit like 20, I say go to Nukhba al-Fikr to Samad. Somebody has no time at all and you want to go deeply to, you go to Al-Fiyat al-Iraqi, include all the types of Hadith, Mustalah Hadith. All knowledge of Mustalah Hadith is there. So the teacher, what will do, will shorten the way for you to reach a high level in a short time. In a Nahu, for example, you go to Ajramiyya, you go to Qadr al-Nada, for example, you go to Ibn Hisham, and just 3 books, you'll be scholar in Nahu. Ajramiyya, Qadr al-Nada, if you don't have time for Qadr al-Nada, go to Alfiyya or Qadr al-Nada deeper. 2 books, you will have a deep knowledge in Nahu. Focus on them 6-7 months is enough. You don't have to go to other books. Meaning, the right teacher will choose for you what? right books and the right methodology. Otherwise, you will waste your time and years. Do not give up. When you have a teacher, he will always, if he choose for you a right book, you will enjoy to finish that book, to go to next. But imagine you memorize half Quran, right? Then at night after Isha, Allahu Akbar, Alif Lam Mim, ذلك الكتاب, you miss. Okay, let's try Al Imran. Alif Lam Mim, Allahu la ilaha wal hayyul qayyum. Miss. I go to An-Nisa. Then you feel, tired. I waste my time memorizing day and night, and I cannot read. Ramadan comes, you cannot read at night in your salah. So that I say, I'm not good for Shariah, I go to do something else. Everyone can go for Shariah, everyone. But just the methodology, everyone can become Hafid and scholar, but a right methodology, very important. But imagine it comes after Isha, Allahu Akbar, you read your salah, you enjoy. So that will help you to go to next half of Quran. The books also, you teach a book, you enjoy, you go to next level. But spending 5-7 years, you cannot teach any book what you have learned, and you feel that you don't even understand them, that will not motivate you to continue. That's basically the most important matter for this. Won't take 5 minutes, just water. We will summary, inshallah. Yes, please.
The topic is methodology of seeking Shariah knowledge.
Yeah.
So the word Shariah,
very
what
important.
You define Shariah.
What we mean here, because in English is you cannot find the right word sometimes.
Okay.
In Arabic, we say in Arabic, manhajiyatu talib al-ilm, the methodology of the seeker of knowledge. And that's what I mentioned at the beginning. I said the topic was the seeker of knowledge, meaning the one who wants to seek Sharia. So the Sharia, as it comes after that, we will discuss that Quran, and it divided into two: the objective or the fundamental of Sharia, and the servant of the fundamentals. So meaning the Sharia here, the foundation is Quran and Sunnah, and the rest how to understand Quran and Sunnah. All what we are going to mention, inshallah, briefly I will mention the usul fiqh, the nahu, all these called ala. Ala means equipments. An equipment to understand Quran and Sunnah. In another way, these Sahaba, and they don't need to learn these things because they are native. When the Quran revealed Quran, لا تقربوا الزنا, or إنما الخمر والميسر والأنصاب والرجس, they understand this la indicate haram, prohibited. But now we have to differentiate between la. What does it mean? Nafiya or nahiya or lil-karaha or lil-tanzih, or all these things. So we are, since we are far from that time, so we need to know exactly how they use that. That's why Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah said, your level in language is your level in Sharia. Imam Shafi'i used to memorize the share of Hudaliyin, and he used to correct for Asma'i. Asma'i was the head of language. And he tell him, Imam, don't tell scholars of hadith about this. Because if they knew about this, they say, Shafi'i is more to language. But Imam Shafi'i was scholars who have Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala given him like a library. He's an imam in language, imam in fiqh, imam in hadith. Rahimahullahu ta'ala. You can take some, drink water or coffee. We continue with the...
different from the time of Rasulullah SAW and the Sahaba until now? How is it different? Or is it the same?
Yeah, good question. How is the Arabic language different from the time of the Sahaba? The history of Arabic language is that as you know, always the language of the city is different from the language of the kampung, village, right? The village one is pure, right? The city is not there. Why? Because the city is a place of business and foreigners, and so now, if I don't understand Bahasa Melayu, I come to you to buy something. So I speak a broken Bahasa Melayu, so you will speak the way I speak to make me understand, right? Then by the time 1, 2 years, 3 years, your level of language will decrease. Your children who work there, they will hear a father talking like that, the language decrease. And so the same happen in Arabic language. When the start da'wah, a non-Muslims comes to the Mecca, Medina and place and mix with the rest, the level of Arabic language get decreased until Umar radiallahu anhu told a story. He heard someone, there are a few stories, but one of them heard somebody reading in Surah Tawbah, أن الله بريء من المشركين ورسوله. He read it, بريء من المشركين ورسوله. So it means if you read ورسوله, Allah is free from the mushriks and also from Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, which is different. Mushrikeen, Allah and His Messenger are free and away from the mushriks and us. He immediately asked Abu al-Aswad Du'ali, or in another riwayah asked Ali radiallahu anhu, to combine the rulings of Arabic language so our children can learn that. Then Ali asked Abu al-Aswad, he said, how to do that? Because he was scholar. He said, just say, الاسم ما دل على المسمى والفعل على حركة المسمى. Then أنحو هذا النحو. Follow this way. Since that time we call النحو. أنحو means follow. So that is why as long as we are far from that time, the Arabic language decrease. Nowadays when you go to even Saudi or Emirate, or they mix English with Arabic, or they mix Arabic with the French, or mix so that's getting what? Allah Mustaan, we say Allah Mustaan, getting what? No. That is why we need to learn the books that mentioned by scholars to have the same level of the native in time of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. One of the best book, high book, as Ibn al-Jinni and the scholar used to say, if you learn the book of Sibawayh, called Al-Kitab, you will have the same level as Abu Bakr and Umar and Uthman. And Sibawayh, he is not an Arab. He's not an Arab. He's a Persian. And his story matches our topic because he began with a hadith. First time he went to class of hadith. So he did a mistake in reading. The friends were laughing at him. He said, I will learn something that learn nahsu, nobody will laugh at me. He went to the head of Arabic language that time called Al-Khalil ibn Ahmad and spent with him years. After that he became what? Imam al-Lugha. And he wrote his book called Al-Kitab. When you say Al-Kitab, it means Al-Kitab of Sibawayh. So when a person considers the fourth level finishing Al-Kitab, his language will be top. That is the idea. We continue, inshallah. We say briefly because this topic is too deep and wide. It has to be, believe, a course to go step by step. So just give general, inshallah, idea. And if Allah give us a life or chance, maybe we do another time. So how do I start? First, we have to be ready. Ikhlas, as you know, very important. And ikhlas, Imam Ahmad was asked, how is ikhlas in seeking knowledge? He said, ikhlas أن تنوي به رفع الجهل عن نفسك وعن غيرك. To have the niyyah, that to take away ignorance from yourself and from others. First from yourself and the others. It's not a niyyah to become a teacher, to become a famous, the niyyah is to take away the ignorance from yourself first, your family and the rest. That's why Imam Malik rahimahullah said, العلم نور يقذفه الله في قلب من شاء. العلم is not about how much you memorize, how much you know. Al-ilm is a light that will be given by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. A second one, we say piety is very important. What destroys the memory is the sins. So piety is very easy, as a meaning. Consciousness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sorry, the spelling is I wrote it at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. last night. It's very important, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran, وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِمُكُمُ اللَّهُ. Allah give one condition. Be conscious of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will grant you what? Knowledge. وَاتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ اللَّهُ وَاللَّهُ بِكُلِّ شَيْءٍ عليم. And that's why Imam Shafi'i, they say about him a famous story with his Shaykh Al-Wakiyah. It's quite famous, this story. Shafi'i rahimahullah, whenever he sees things, he memorizes faster. Then after sometimes he feels that his memory decreases. So he went to his Shaykh and told him what happened to him. He said, avoid ma'asi. Avoid ma'asi, sins. Ma'siyah, plural of ma'siyah, ma'asi, right? Avoid what? Sins. And Imam Malik rahimahullah, when Shafi'i finished Muwatta with him, what he said? He said, oh my son, I see a light were given by Allah. Do not switch it off with a ma'siyah. Do not switch off the light of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with what? Ma'siyah. So that's why the student must be away from all types of in order to focus, to get the barakah, to get the nur, to get a good memory, a good understanding, a better what? Understanding. Because this knowledge is, when we read the story of scholars, Imam Bukhari, every hadith will do a wudu, film wudu and pray 2 rak'ah. Imam Ahmad, the same. Imam Malik rahimahullah, the same. And Imam Ahmad say, with his best memory, memorizing 1 million hadith, and he said, if I find a hadith difficult, I practice it first, then I memorize it. So meaning practicing what you learn is the best way to benefit from what you learn. So the knowledge is what? Is zakah. Is like what? A zakah. You apply it, you get increase your knowledge. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala criticized the Jew. They are scholars but they don't practice. And criticize the Christians, they practice without knowledge. We call the Jew ahbar, we call the Nasara ruhban. So al-hibr, the one who has deep knowledge but without practice. And the Christians, rahib, means a rahib person who pray a lot, ibadah without knowledge. Muslims, wasata, we have to learn and practice. وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. Piety, patience, very important to have patience, very important. They say you have to have. Imam ibn Abbas was asked how you reach to this level of knowledge. Ibn Abbas called al-hibr. No one given this title except to Ibn Abbas. Al-hibr, the one who has very, very deep knowledge. Hibr and Turjuman al-Quran. He said, Sabrin ka sabri al-jamad. My patient was like a jamad. Jamad, like a stone that things doesn't move. No, it doesn't have ruh, doesn't have soul. Sabr, like what? Al-jamad. And تبكير كتبكير الغراب is a type of birds that comes too early. And some riwayah, his sabr was like a sabr of the camels. Camels in deserts, how much, hot, and he may need only once a month to drink water. Or the camel, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the signs of camel, ask us to see that. He has a patient, right? And live in deserts, and will know all the way. One time you send him to any way, he can what? Remember the ways. So صبر كصبر الجمال وتبكير كتبكير الغراب وقلب عقول ولسان سؤول. So 5 things. Ibn Abbas, sabr like camels, tabkir like al-ghurab, birds that comes too early in the morning. The third one, qalb عقول, meaning he knows what to study, how to study, where to study. Lisan sa'ul, I ask a lot. Ask what? A lot. The student who have no question, he will not learn. Another way, if you don't have question, it means you haven't increased your knowledge. You must always have questions, because knowledge is like this. You open a window, then you see many windows after that. You reach to that window, you see other windows. Never stop. Allah says, وَمَا أُوتِيتُ مِنَ الْعِلْمِ إِلَّا قَلِيلًا. Whatever you have given knowledge is just it. And Imam Zuhri, who mentioned last time, he said, Al-ilm awdiya. Al-ilm like many running, we say, word, rivers. You go to, if you choose anyone, you won't end it. So everyone you go in and will not end. So قلب عقول ولسان سؤول والتبكير and he himself, because sometimes patient with the books, patient with teachers. Sometimes the teacher you learn, his attitude is rough maybe. You have to be very patient. Maybe he's rude. Because Allah has divided knowledge just like He divided the rizq. Wealth is divided. People not all the same, right? The akhlaq also the same. Somebody give him good akhlaq and he is some no. So if we feel that he is the right sheikh to learn from him hadith or aqidah or qira'at or we have to be patient. Imam ibn Abbas, he used to sleep in a front of the house of Zayd ibn Thabit, student of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the one who wrote Quran. In Al-Hajira. Al-Hajira means around 2 p.m. Very hot. Waiting for his sheikh to come out. Zayd ibn Thabit will come out. They say, what do you do here? The family of Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Ibn Abbas, right? Ibn Ammi Rasulillah, cousins of Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. He said, this is the way we have ordered to respect our scholars. And when he went to ride a camel, Ibn Abbas will give him what? His bag. Zayd will refuse, but no, he said, you have to use my bag to what? To ride the camel. Meaning we are not saying this to do this with teacher, but you have to have patience. Patience with the book. Sometimes we don't understand, we don't memorize. We spend with 1 page or 2 lines 3-4 hours, 5 hours, cannot come in. Ibn Taymiyyah was given a very good memory. He said he see only once he memorized. He says sometimes Ibn Qayyim, his student, said he will cry and put the salt in his face, on his face, and he repeated the dua of Sulaiman. Ya mufahima Sulaiman fahimni wa ya muallima Adam alimni. Or the one who give, Allah says in the Quran, فَفَهَّمْنَاهَا Sulaiman, right? وَلَقَدْ هَدَيْنَا دَاوُودَ وَسُلَيْمَانَ عِلْمًا. So he derived this understanding from Quran. Oh Allah, who granted Sulaiman knowledge, ilm, grant me the ilm and the understanding. Al-Ghazali, he was the head of philosophy and usul fiqh. He couldn't learn balagha. So meaning, Allah will open some window for you, some other window not. You need to have what? Sabr and patience. And there are many stories on that. We don't have time to go to all of them. So patience, very, very important. Planning. The student must plan. Planning, you have to know your capacity. So now my age, whether I can go for this program or second program or third program, right? And also my responsibility, I'm married or not, my children or not, my job. Sometimes I need to support my parents and my children, the school. Or I cannot, I have all these things and I go full time for study because they are what? Priority. Allah will not ask me about learning 10 qira'at, but He will ask me about my wife, my daughter. I say they don't eat, they don't get the right education, my parents. I will be what? A sinful if I don't take care of them, because there is priorities, right? This one ibadah and this one ibadah, but this ibadah priority for them. Just like now, somebody doesn't pray Maghrib in time, combine Maghrib and Isha. He sleep after Asr. And he always pray Maghrib with the Isha at 1 or, and he spent the whole night praying until Subh. You say, pray. Subh, pray Maghrib, Isha in time, then don't pray Qiyam al-Layl. This nafila for you. Right? Somebody, especially in Ramadan, pray the whole night and miss Subh. Don't pray the night. This is nafila. Make sure the Subh there in time. Or you can, after Isha, 2 rak'ah, 4 or 8 rak'ah, half an hour, 1 hour, rather than the whole night, then you miss what? Subh. So we have this very important of planning. Planning is very important. Then also, living in a city is different from living in a kampung. Kampung, more peace, by 7, 8, Isha, Maghrib, nobody, calm, and maybe cheaper compared to the city, responsibility less to the city, right? And the city have a different challenge. So you cannot have a same program in a city, you use it in a kampung or the other way. So very important to know what? To plan according to your time, your situation, your teachers also. Your sheikh, for example, is teaching at University of Work and also teaching his free time after Asr or after Maghrib is different from when you go to Funduk or you go to this. The sheikh is there the whole time. So your program will be according to that. Meaning this year, I want to memorize Quran. Okay? So I find a right teacher. I make sure he memorizes Quran. If I want to memorize Quran, my teacher must memorize Quran. It's very important, right? If I want to memorize the whole Quran, right? This will be like my first condition. The second, the quality must be perfect. It's not only memorize and the quality. And that can show maybe the high sanad and here recitation. And also, I'm a new student, I cannot, like nowadays, if I'm not specialized in a different field, I cannot give a recommendation. Because the one who gives recommendation is the one who has the same field. I'm in qira'at, I say this one is a scholar in qira'at. Right? But I'm in Shariah, I cannot say this one is the best engineer in this or that. I cannot. This is not acceptable. Like we see nowadays, some Jama'ah say, oh, that sheikh is a scholar. And she is maybe working in, maybe she's a doctor or she's a banking or so she doesn't have a right to say that. The tazkiyah of scholars must come from scholars. Imam Malik did not start teaching until 40 scholars prove that you are qualified to teach and to give fatwa. 40. And one of the things we feel that it has a lot of negative effect nowadays, that the scholar or the teachers praised by non-specialized. This one, I think, one of the big mistake, promoting or from non-specialized. just can speak 2 words Arabic or 2 words. He's a scholar. Say 2 ahadith, 3 ahadith. We respect everyone can teach in his field, but we have to know everyone what specialization, and also to get a tazkiyah from scholars, not from a non-specialized. Right? This is very what? Very, very important. So planning, we say important. I find the teacher, the Quran, and I see in 1 year how much I memorize. Let's say I can memorize half page daily. 4 days I see, or 5 days, 2 pages and a half or 3 pages. I sit, revise them. 1 month, how many? 24 pages, for example, I will get. I will see. If decrease, or I have to sit again with myself. The same with other books. In 1 year, I must finish 1, 2, 3. And I'm able to summary that, I'm able to explain that, I'm able to teach that. If I find I'm reading this book, Aqidah, for example, I take Aqidah Wasitiyah, for example. I take it in 6 months, for example, I should finish it. If I finish, I should see all the masail, the rulings. When I read, I can explain. And also I can teach others. I don't move to other book in the same field until I perfect that book. It's very important. Modesty, very important also. It must be humble person who learn. Man tawada'a lillahi rafa'ah. Because the one who has kibr, he will never learn. Sometimes your teacher is younger than you, right? Sometimes your student maybe, you are very high level in your family, you come from maybe a very high family, and your teacher maybe young, and maybe his akhlaq a bit wrong, and maybe talk to you rough sometimes, and you don't accept these things. But you have an object, and when you don't find any alternative, you have to be humble and learn from him, and you have to be what? Patient. So the scholars say you won't be a scholar until you learn from the one who is older than you and younger what? Than you. When it comes to knowledge, we shouldn't feel shy. Imam Malik rahimahullah, when a Khalifa Harun Rashid asked him to teach him in his house. Khalifa, imagine. Malik said, you must come for knowledge, not the knowledge comes to you. This is the rulings. Al-ilmu yu'ta wa la ya'ti. Right? You must come to knowledge, not knowledge comes to you. When he comes to Medina, Haram al-Nabawi, he sits on chair, and all people, all students on ground. Imam Malik, immediately he mentioned hadith of Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, man tawada'a lillahi rafa'ah. Who's humble for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will higher his level. So he removed the chair and sit like others. And he was a king not for one country, almost a half of the world. Imagine. Harun al-Rashid, rahimahullah. So at-tawadu is very important. When a sheikh, your teacher, knew that you have some arrogance, he will not teach you. Unless at university, he's forced to teach you, but he will not give you the. That's why at university sometimes is teach the hypocrites. The student will know that teacher waiting for the fees and payment, and the teacher look to the student, he's looking for the points, the marks, right? So that's why the universities cannot produce scholars. Unlike they combine. The moment you speak about why you came late, why you dress like this, why your hair like this, you write a letter to, I don't like this teacher, this. The management came, see the record is not good about you, right? So the best way is, as we mentioned earlier, is to what? To combine sufficiency. Students need to have money. When you seek Shariah, you must. Imam Malik, he sold the roof of his house to support his finance. Abu Hanifa is the only imam among the 4 imams who was a businessman. Right? That's why he died. That's why he what? He died where? In prison. because he was forced to be a lawyer, a judge, qadi. But he refused. There he was put in prison until he died. When you have income outside of your Shariah sufficiency, you will be independent. And it's very important as a Sharia scholars to be independent. Otherwise, most of the fatwa we feel and see nowadays, most of confusion among Muslims, most of the hatred among Muslims is because the scholars are not independent. They are time. I want this fatwa. If you don't, I cut your salary. Why Imam Nawawi was sent out of the village? Because they were asked to cut his salary, but he said, I don't have any salary for me. Al-Thawri, rahimahullah, Sufyan Thawri, when a student came, he will ask him about skill. Do you have any job, any skill to support yourself? If he say no, he say, please, learn some skill and come. Then you will fear Allah only. The fatwa, your knowledge is only for Allah subhanahu. And unfortunately, we see the Jew, they don't work. Only study and support themselves, and they don't accept anything from others. And that's why they are, against the Zionists in Israel and subhanAllah, in Sharia, of course, it have to have Bayt Mal Muslimin. Some scholars they used to take and still independence, like Imam Malik rahimahullah. But one of the best way is to have sufficiency. Imam Shafi'i, he couldn't pay his teacher for Quran because he has only mother. Father passed away. What he did, the Shaykh knew, mashallah, he has good knowledge. He say, okay, replace me when I'm absent and you don't have to pay. So he was very young, learning and teaching. To what? To avoid what? Paying, because his mother cannot support him. Imam Shafi'i, rahimahullah. So very important, because you need to travel to scholars, you need to buy books, and sometimes this may be very private, but I have sometimes when I travel to get some high senate and the full time, they ask sometimes for 10,000, 15,000, and you need the airplane ticket, you need the hotels, you need, because Sheikh is fully there, has children, and he say, if you want this book to finish it in this time, give me 10,000, give me 15, give me. So sometimes you find this only Sheikh can teach you that, and the only one who has a high senate. So you have to have some support, family or your work per time, or to support yourself. Very important. Otherwise you will be what? Tight. You will be what? Tight. Intelligence, we say, strong desire. You must have strong desire towards what? Knowledge. Find the right scholar. Actually, if you find the right scholar, he will shorten all these things. You don't need to think about all these things. He will give you a right way. Right? And we always say a right scholar who have tazkiyah or recommendations from scholars, not recommendations from normal people. So if you want to go to doctors, I always ask doctors, what do you think about this doctor in that clinic or that hospital? Or the doctor said, she is good, she is not, she is that. Because they know each other. Right? Same in Sharia. So very important this point. At-tafarruq, devotion. Meaning, you need sometimes, like you are working 8 to 5, for example. Now the only time you have is before subuh, right? So before subuh, 1 hour. Usually this before subuh time is a golden time for memorizing Quran, hadith, and after maghrib or for revision and reading books like soft books, history or fiqh, for example, some of the fiqh books. I think the time is the B is self-preparation towards your teacher. So the teacher is very important. So you see this imam, he's the head of scholar in Algeria. He passed away 1930. He came from a very strong and rich family. His grandparents, the one who fight against Fatimi, the Shia who comes to Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria. The French, they say, we give you the position of the minister of Shariah. Just follow us. But you see, he has a class for kids, and he has a class for scholar after subuh, and the class after dhuhr, class after asr, after maghrib, for all ages. And he's the head, writing about the society, education, about politics, go to French, about the law, and then he was killed when he in a very young. Meaning, the teacher relationship between student and teacher very important. You have to know. You won't benefit from a right scholar until you treat him like your father. It doesn't mean you believe whatever he says is correct, or you have this ta'assub, right? But the teacher, if he feel you don't respect, he will not teach you. He has the knowledge with him. As Imam Shafi'i said, the knowledge is with me. The one who's not responsible, who's not qualified, I should not give him anything. So, if the teacher feel you respect him, treat him good, he will give you something different from the rest. He will give you a shortened way. He will increase the time with you. But if he feel arrogance, feel this, don't waste his time with you. And it's very important nowadays. Very, very important. I'm talking about right scholars. I'm not talking about just with the respect of everyone, but sometimes we feel just like translation, bring a book and translate and teach. Charama and do these things will not produce scholar. If I just bring a book and translate to you the book, or convey the book to you, this will not produce scholar. So if I teach a book, it means I have learned summary. I choose this is the best book for a student for this level. Right? So meaning the relationship, it has to be like a father. You look him, as the Imam Shafi'i said, I prefer my teacher than my father. Why? Because the teacher is the doctor for my heart and soul. But the father is what? Is who support me physically and of course both important. But we say, I have seen in my experience, all my relationship with my teachers is based on how I respect him. If I respect more, I get private classes. I get sometimes twice a day. But other student gets once a week. I traveled to one of the scholars who passed away. MashaAllah, he's a library. He teach you only 10 minutes in 3 days. Many students from different countries. So I wait him in front of his khayma. We study in khayma, in desert. From his house to the masjid is just 2 minutes. But I prepare question from the house to the masjid and from masjid to the house. So I will get almost 7 questions a day after each salah. Then the class I get at the beginning once every 7 days. After sometimes he starts to give me every night class alone. Another sheikh also the same. Some shuyukh, they will reject you. But the key to benefit from the scholars is the relationship. I mean respect as a student. And of course, to close your eyes for his mistakes, because he is a human being. He may have many mistakes. If you feel that sometimes you are learning a nahu from somebody specialized in nahu, and you learn hadith from somebody specialized in hadith. Maybe the one who teach hadith, he doesn't have deep knowledge in grammar. So you know his mistake because you are learning. And the nahu use a weak hadith and you are from hadith. You know this weak hadith. Don't say this is weak. It's a bit proof, right? So maybe somehow in a good way between you and him, say, can you tell me this hadith from where, or in the right way, but not in front of him. Meaning the correction is very important. So the Sharia books divide into two in general. One, we should know these things. I want to learn Sharia, I should know the Sharia books or science, they are objective, or we call usul, principles, fundamentals of Sharia. And the other one we call ulum al-ala, or servants, the science that help you to understand the objectives. The objectives, some scholars actually is only Quran and Sunnah. Some add al-fiqh, aqidah, and some add the as-sirah. What do we mean by objectives? What do we mean by usul? We mean by usul, meaning you study Quran to understand Quran and to practice it. Right? I learn hadith to understand hadith and to practice it. Right? But if I say nahu, I learn nahu not to practice nahu, but to practice it to understand Quran and Sunnah. So al-nahu, al-salaf, al-balagha are to understand what? The Quran and hadith. I learn jurisprudence like usul fiqh, al-nasikh, al-mansukh, al-am, al-mutlaq, al-halal, al-haram. I learn this to understand fiqh. When you say aqimu salah, what does it mean aqimu? So I have nahu now, aqimu fi'lu amr, right? And they have now usul fiqh. Any fi'l amr indicate wujub. So I learned nahu, I have learned usul for what? To help me understand the text of Quran. And I do the same. I learn nahu and hadith to understand the statement of hadith. This hadith indicates halal, permissible, indicates haram, indicate makruh, or I have to learn these things. But we say before they don't need to learn these things because they were native. Right? So Umar radiallahu anhu was against Islam. The moment he hears Surah Taha, the Iman immediately gives into the heart because he knows his mother tongue is like that. So we say Al-Quran, Al-Hadith, Al-Aqidah, Al-Fiqh. Then the rest, we learn them to understand these things. So meaning, I learn tajweed. The moment I know the ahkam of nun sakina, the ahkam of mudud, or ra'at, I know the makharij and sifat is sufficient as a basic. I don't have to go very deep. I don't have to go to this school of tajweed, that school of tajweed. This if I want to specialize. Right? Aqidah. What does it mean aqidah? This is the three types of tawheed, or the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, asma and sifat. What I should believe Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, His asma and sifat. So if I understand this for aqidah, is enough as a foundation. So I have to find book explain that. For tawheed, the same. Right? Iman billah, malaika, al-kutub, al-rusul, as a foundation. For an-nahu, the moment I'm able to know how to the word and sufficient for first level. The sarf and. So what we mean by that? We do not waste more time learning the ulum al-ala. Ulum al-ala. All the time we spend is with what? Usul, Quran and Hadith. Quran and what? Hadith. All our life we spend it with the usul. And all other subjects serve Quran and Hadith. The moment you will be able to understand that, just stop and go to next. So in another way, don't spend 20 years learning balagha, or 10 years learning nahu. Oh, this is a waste of time, right? At the beginning we said. So maybe, unless you want to learn nahu for something else, but for Quran and Sunnah, it's just what you need for Quran and Sunnah. Also fiqh, just what you need to understand fiqh. Mustalah hadith is just what you need to learn to know the hadith. When you see hadith, this hadith, there is no the first sahabi, or there is no a tabi'i, or this munqadi, mursal. How do I learn these things? There is only 3 books in Mustalah hadith. So I learn them in order to know the terminology and to have a deep knowledge in what? In ulum al-hadith. I don't spend 10 years learning Mustalah hadith. It's a big mistake. Okay? The ulum for example, ulum al-Quran, if you go to Suyuti in his book called Itqan, he said there is 80 types of ulum al-Quran. 80 types. I think in general we divide them into 3. Ilm nuzul al-Quran, revelation of Quran. So to know al-Makki, al-Madani, the night, the day, asbab al-nuzul, and all these things. This one type of ilm al-Quran. The second, ilm al-ada, the recitation, the makharij, the sifat, the qira'at, ilm al-qira'at. The third one is ahkam al-Quran, the rulings of Quran. To know the fiqh of the Quran. And the fiqh of the Quran, to know also the nasikh, abrogations, and the al-mansukh, al-mujmal, al-mubayyan, meaning the fiqh of the verses from al-Fatiha to an-Nas. So all these are what? Equipment to understand Quran of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For example, if we take tafsir, just an example for tafsir, how to study tafsir. The first one, introduction of tafsir. Introduction, like Al-Qurtubi in his tafsir al-Ahkam, he give an introduction of tafsir. Before you start this knowledge, what you should know. Right? Or Ibn Juzay has introduction for, or Ibn Taymiyyah has also tafsir. These, if you pick up, if you take all of them, it's just maybe 20 pages, or it will give you a key how to deal with the book of tafsir, or the term of tafsir. Right? The second level, to go to vocabulary. Meaning vocabulary of the Quran. There is Asfahani book to just help you to know the word by word. By the way, I have done one. I hope Allah will give me the strength to publish it, inshallah, almost done, is to help you like to know the Arabic word and the meaning of it in Arabic and the synonym in English. That's, inshallah, your dua. But before they learn Arabic to Arabic. Like Umar al-Khattab, he said, وَفَاكِهَةً وَأَبَّا. We know fakiha, fruits, but we don't know abba. So al-abba is the fakiha, the fruits for human being, and al-ab, the fruits for animals. So it's not his language. That's why Umar used to advise people to learn that why dawawin that time. Dawawin means the poems and of the Arabs, to know the meaning of this vocabulary. And Ibn Abbas said this will help you a lot to know the meaning of Quran. So the second, we go to vocabulary. The third one is combinations of the words. Word, you know, now how to combine them. That will help you, like Tafsir al-Jalalain, for example, Tafsir al-Nasafi, for example, and always is better, as we mentioned, with a Sunni Shaykh to guide you and explain to you. Sometimes may find some way in a Sifat or Aqidah, so the Shaykh only can help you. Like a book of Al-Kashaf for Zamakhshari is very important book. But unfortunately, Zamakhshari was Mu'tazili. So it means this type of book you need to learn it with the Shaykh, so he will guide you. But is one of the main references for balagha. The fourth, we go to tafsir with athar. Athar means, you know, the ayah, and he'll bring hadith al-Nabi sallallahu alaihi wasallam or sahabi or tabi'i. That will be the best. Ibn Kathir, for example, or Zad, for example, of Imam al-Jawzi, will tell you about what? The athar. The next level is tafsir, will tell you about, will derive the fruits of the verses, the benefits of from the verses, and that like tafsir al-Sa'di or tafsir Adwa al-Bayan, for example, Quran with the Quran, tafsir Ibn Ashur, one of the best tafsir, because he will put everything inside. I mean, Nahaw, Saraf, Balagha, Fiqh, Hadith, Story, everything there, Rahimahullah Ta'ala. And the last is At-Tabari, because we have to know, as Ibn Taymiyyah Rahimahullah, all Mufassirin took from Imam Tabari. So in Tafsir Tabari is the main tafsir. Just like we say, all Usul al-Fiqh refer to risalah, Imam Shafi'i, because it's the first who wrote about Usul Fiqh. Same we say in Tafsir. The main Tafsir Tabari. The rest all have taken from Imam Tabari rahimahullah, but we cannot start with Tabari. The last level in Tafsir is the comparative study. So we'll compare between the riwayats, weak riwayah, authentic riwayah, about the tafsir. If we take this six level in Tafsir, you are a scholar in Tafsir. 6 steps. So we go one level, and like let's say this year we make it as professional diploma in Tafsir. So we follow 6 levels of Tafsir. First Tafsir, second, third, you will be a scholar after that. This in what? A Tafsir, which is type of the ulum al-Quran. The second example we give Hadith, for example. Hadith we say also is a usul, one of the usul. We say if a person is young, we give him 40 Nawawiyah, 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi. Then we go after 40 hadith, Umdat al-Ahkam. Umdat al-Ahkam will cover all chapters of fiqh and the hadith all from Bukhari and Muslim. It means you have foundation of all chapters, and the hadith you use all authentic, and you cover all the chapters. I mean, any chapter I mentioned, in Tahara, in Salah, in Saum, in Zakah, in Jihad, in Hajj, you have the hadith. Easy to what to do. It's just 475 hadith, right? With an explanation. After that, I go to Bulugh al-Maram. Bulugh al-Maram, also in Ahkam, will cover the 4 Imams' opinion. If I finish that, what I have the Hadith Ahkam. And the scholars advise these books can be combined with the fiqh. Like I'm taking fiqh, first Matn Abi Shuja. So you know the fiqh, they will not mention the Hadith because it's furu'. So what help you is to learn with the fiqh is Ahadith Ahkam, goes together. I learn Matn Abi Shuja, at the same time I take what? Umdat al-Ahkam. So here I know in details the fiqh Shafi'i, right? And Umdat al-Ahkam, I have authentic ahadith for what I'm learning. So if I go only Umdat al-Ahkam without fiqh, the knowledge is less, because there are many matters is not included in a hadith. So the scholars derive it from a hadith. And also I learn only fiqh without hadith. People ask you, give dalil, you don't have dalil. And that's also. After that I go to Bukhari. Bukhari also divided. There is Bukhari without repetition, just 1,800 hadith. With repetition 7,000. Then I either go to Bukhari and Muslim. the muttafaq alayh, we call muttafaq alayh, what's agreed by Bukhari and Muslim. I say 1/8 something. Then I go to the hadith in Bukhari that Muslim doesn't have. Then I go to a hadith of Muslim that Bukhari doesn't have. So here, short way, I just memorize around 4,000 hadith, I include Bukhari and Muslim. But if I go to Bukhari, 8,000 with repetition, Muslim also 7,000, it takes time. So in 4,000 hadith, I have Bukhari and Muslim. Then after that, I go to Sunan, Abi Dawud, Tirmidhi, Ibn Majah, Sunan. These are the usul. As a mustalah, we want to learn now the mustalah hadith. There is Bayquniya, to tell you that terminology. After that, go to Al-Nukhba, a bit deeper of Ibn Hajar. After that, Alfiya cover everything. So, if I take only Al-Nukhba, after that Alfiya is sufficient. And that's, in 8 months, for example, I will be knowledgeable in Mustalah Hadith. If you go to university 4 years in Hadith, they don't know this Alfiya. They didn't study Alfiya. Or if I don't want poems, what I do? I go to a book of Tawjih, another scholar, Al-Tahir Al-Jazairi, and after that, Qawaid Hadith is sufficient also. You will be knowledgeable in what? In Mustalah. And that maximum take from you 10 months, maximum. If you take 2 classes a week or. And when you speak in Mustalah Hadith, even those who specialize in Hadith in Jamia, they will surprise. Because this all starts step by step and deep. Like you build yourself in a Hadith. اللغة العربية, Arabic language, it has 12 subjects. But what you need in Shariah, only 4. What you need in Shariah to have level of mujtahidin is only 4. Nahu, Sarf, Balagha, with the 3 types of Balagha, and Lugha. It is only 4, as the Imam Ibn Khaldun mentioned. The pillars of Arabic language to understand Quran and Sunnah, 4. Nahu, Sarf, Balagha, Lugha. And of course, we say we don't have time, otherwise I will show you the books for each. What are the books for Nahu, for Sarf, Balagha, also for the Hadith. Here an example for Fiqh Shafi'i, since we are here, Shafi'iyya. In each madhab there is levels. The student, the right way to learn fiqh is to follow the madhab of your country. To begin with the madhab of what? Of your country. We say always with the faqih, scholars who specialize in fiqh. So he will tell you whether this one weak, authentic, whether this one is the new madhab of Imam Shafi'i or latest madhab, or whether Imam Shafi'i himself say that or his students. Is very important to find that. So we say Matn Abi Shuja is a small book, but you will benefit the language of fuqaha. Very important. When you learn these books, one of the main fruits is to have the language of fuqaha when you speak about fiqh. And when you speak about hadith, you have the language of muhaddithin because you have the principles. When you speak about Arabic language, you have the language of Arabic language, the scholars of Arabic language. So, second thing, you have strong foundation. Because other books consider is like furu', branches. The furu', by the time you will forget them. What you keep, only the basic. So you will know Madhab Shafi'i in this 1, 2, 3. Madhab Shafi'i in Tahara 1, 2, 3. After that, you finish the book, you go to Al-Wajiz of Imam Ghazali, one of the best books. Since Imam Ghazali is strong in philosophy and mantiq, and comes to the fiqh and usul fiqh, he will help you how to understand it. Meaning he will tell you in this matter we have 8 things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that's what you need. In Salah we have 10 matters. The first matter divided into 2, into 3. Following this way will help you to remember better. The next one is the Minhaj, is deep for Imam An-Nawawi, and the last one is At-Tanbih, Al-Izz ibn Abd Salam. If you finish these, you are a scholar in Madhab Shafi'i. Right? You are a scholar in Madhab Imam Shafi'i. After that we have second level where we go to a comparative for Imams. We study them. And after that, inshallah, the level of ijtihad by getting the ulum or the equipment of understanding Quran and Sunnah. Just to summary, how to study these things. Of course, I have shortened the way because it's supposed to go to usul al-fiqh, to qira'at, to one by one, and all the books and the time. But since we don't have enough time, I just give some example. To study them, you need first one, correction. To correct, to correct. Imam al-Hafidh ibn Hajar is a muhaddith. He corrected Bukhari in 2 days. You read the book in front of somebody. You read the Quran in front of a scholar of Quran, hadith of scholar of hadith, and to correct you, because sometimes the names look same, the terms. That's why in the Quran, how we memorize? We read it first in front of our Shaykh, right? Then he correct us. He will let us read it in front of him. No mistake. Then we begin memorizing. This is the way we learn Quran, right? We don't memorize and go to the Shaykh, right? The same we do with other things. The second is understanding. Very important to understand. For example, if I learn fiqh, you need 2 things. You need to understand. The second, you need to imagine, like a tahara. What does mean tahara? And the types of tahara. Water divided into 3, right? Tahir, najis, or mix with tahir. In Madhab al-Shafi'i, divide only into 2, tahir or najis. But in Madhab Hanbali or Madhab Maliki, for example, divide into 3. So what I need to know, the meaning of tahara in fiqh, not in aqidah, not in other, because tahara terms in fiqh different from others. Then the second, I know the type of water, definition of pure water and of najis water and the water that mix with tahara, and the ahkam. If I pray with the first one, second one, third one, what will be tayakkul? So you need more to what? To understand and to have the what we say maps, right? The category of the matter. Understanding, very important. The third one is memorizing. The student of Shariah must memorize. You must. And the memory, many people they scare, but in reality, memory can be adult, just like a baby. We do exercise maybe first time, 1 push-up, the second day 2, next month we do 5, after that we increase 10, 20, 30, same in, we try with memorizing the verse, Quran, that's why we say Quran, we should never stop memorizing Quran. Because if we do every day, it means we are what? Warming and exercising our memory. So your memory used to what? To memorize. When you go to the breast, it will be very easy. So memorizing is what? Very important when we learn. And inshallah, there is also a topic how to memorize and what to memorize. We cannot memorize everything. So we have to pick up and the times of memorizing and how to keep what we have memorized. Also, these very important matters. R for revision and repetition and writing. So we have to write. Writing is very important. Whatever we write, we go back. Today, maybe this one you find you need it. After 1 month, 2 months, say, how come I wrote this?
Because when you say this, it means your level now is higher. Next year, you see, how come I was writing this information? So it means now your level is better. So writing is what? Very, very important. The third one is either charity or teaching. We must teach. We shouldn't wait until we finish a book. So now I know the ahkam of ikhfa. I go home and I test them. My daughter, do you know ahkam, ikhfa? What does it mean ikhfa? So when I start explain, I find myself, I need to improve my understanding of the matter. So I ask my teacher, I'll go back to the book, for example. And the letters of ikhfa, for example, I miss them. I have to check it. So teaching will help you a lot. So first, revising, increasing your knowledge, and finding what the windows, something you don't understand. You go back to your teacher or the books. That's why we have many stories about Salaf. They used to buy like sheep and to teach their sheep at home. You know, just to enjoy the practicing. So go back home, you know the meaning of Basmala just to your children. Today we have explanation of Basmala and seeds. Bismi from Sima or Sumu and Bismi this, Allah, and explain. You miss, you go back. Repeat it tomorrow. After tomorrow, you feel when you teach will last more and increase. And at the end, there is what? A match of reward. So I think this is the last, briefly what we have mentioned is the Sharia knowledge all divided into two. We have usul and we have ala. Usul, the fundamentals of what? Of the Sharia books, Quran and Sunnah. Right? The rest all will help you to understand Quran and what? And the Sunnah. So that's why we should not waste our time with the equipment. The moment you achieve your goal in this equipment to understand Quran, to read the Quran, to read the Sunnah, then finish, go and practice it in a Quran and a Hadith. Inshallah, I hope we had a long time, as we mentioned, course to go in details, one by one. But inshallah, maybe Allah give a chance to meet other time. Just like any question before we? Yes.
So, I have two questions.
Yes, please.
They're unrelated. So one of them is related to the last part of teaching. So how do you know that you are at this stage to teach someone else? For example, if I learn only ABC from alphabets, then it's okay, I can go to my, let's say, family and teach them ABC. But what happens if I finish the whole alphabet? Can I teach now many other people outside of my circle? The reason why I'm asking that because what I can see maybe the problem there teaching. The challenge I see there because I attended many different classes and as observing also, I can see that let's say someone finished something, then when they deliver it to the students, there are many other questions comes, and as you mentioned, they might not be specialized in that, but they'll start replying to these questions. So which means that let's say he just specialized in ABC.
Yeah, understand. What we mean here by teaching, it doesn't mean teach, you go in a place that, teach what you know. Teach what you know. Now, I learn Fatiha. I know how to read Fatiha. I know the ahkam of Fatiha, the makharij, the sifat, the tajweed. I sit at home, for example, I teach my family. I teach my relative. If I don't know, I say I don't know. I will refer to my ustad and to come to you. But it doesn't mean I know Fatiha. I go and teach Qul Huwallahu Ahad, Ikhlas or Falaq, or I open in Nahu. What we mean here by teaching is what you learn. And that is why the key, why Shingiti scholars are different from others, because I'm learning now, for example, Ajramiyya. The first chapter of Nahu Ajramiyya is, as you know, Babul Kalam, the speech, right? So I finish Babul Kalam, for example, many students will come to me. And I haven't finished another one. I teach them. Then, by finishing the book, I have revised it maybe 100 times. So here it doesn't mean, like we see sometimes it has some negative effect. Somebody studies Shariah fiqh and he go out, he teach open for Quran, teaching tahfidh and starting teaching this and that. And so we shouldn't say, we shouldn't do that, because studying at university Shariah in any countries, for example, I want to teach hadith, I have to be very specialized. I want to teach Bukhari Muslim, I must myself memorize Bukhari Muslim and know Bukhari Muslim, right? I teach Quran, I must myself memorize Quran and know the ahkam. I know I teach ahkam tajweed, I must myself know the ahkam tajweed and. So what you know, teach that. Only in that circle. Yes. Allahu A'lam. Yes, please.
For us to buy this book in Arabic, or should we buy the translated one?
That's what I don't know. One of the things that challenge nowadays that even Islamic books, what we have now is just 10%, because as you know, Tatar and all those destroyed the Mughal. As you know, it was the richest library in Iraq when a Tatar came, Mughal, burned all that. So what we have from original text, just 10%. But this 10% is maybe what translated from here, I don't know, maybe 1% or 2%. So I don't know, but sometimes I see the Indonesian, they translate a lot. Maybe you can find that in here, Bahasa Melayu or inshallah. I think Bakr Abu Zaid book translated to Bahasa Melayu, I said it last time, but it's not sufficient. So we say a right teacher will shorten the way. Always we believe a right scholar, he will help you. Yes.
So another question, let's say there's a number of students who is not so much too eager to learn the religion, right? And ustaz, in order to keep them entertained or to keep them learning religion,
Yes.
to keep the class in very entertaining manners or different manners, which is a little bit could be. So there's a good in it because he keeps them entertaining, and there's disadvantage of that because there might be an element of disrespect towards the knowledge of Islam, like to Quran, and
Yeah, here what we mean is exactly doesn't mean to see it, open classes or the manhaj or methodology of learning is the first we mentioned earlier is the adab. So we learn akhlaq of seeking Sharia knowledge and teaching, having with others, with the students. Then only we go to the next. That was the methodology, the right methodology. So, but what we mentioned here is about the revising what you learn. Revising what you learn. The best way is what? To teach your family. I mean, if we go now, I teach my wife, my children, my mother, my father, my auntie, my aunt, my friends, for example, in the office, but I don't make myself. I'm knowledgeable or give fatwa in everything, or that's the negative effect. I think we have a small gift about sanad in Surah Al-Fatiha, so you can pray for me, inshallah. We read Fatiha together, and this one sanad. There is difference between sanad and ijazah. Sanad means a chain from you to a Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. But ijazah, it means you are able to give to others. So many people say, why you are giving this sanad? So a sanad, it means your name under the chain. So when we give ijazah, it means you are able to give to others. So we don't give ijazah, we give ijazah only to those we know them exactly, they are able and qualified to teach others. Right? We give ijazah. But this one, that's why I like sanad. So still sanad, the ummah has the thing that connects her to Quran, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam is what? Sanad. So I read Fatiha, you read after me, then we give you the sanad. Are you ready? Some of you have taken this, so they don't have to. You read? Okay. Oh. Any question before we start about mythology? أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Yeah, we say always أعوذ. أعوذ. We don't say must be what? There is no in Arabic alphabet what? We say and ayn a'udhu dhu. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الحمد لله رب العالمين.
الرحمن الرحيم.
الرحمن الرحيم.
مالك يوم الدين.
مالك يوم الدين.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
اهدنا الصراط المستقيم.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم.
صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم.
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين.
Yeah, we say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان. من الشيء. الشين has sifa of tafashi, spreading the air in our mouth. Shay. And the ya has to be prolonged a bit. Shay. And the ta is heavy. الشيطان. الشيطان. شيطان الرا. شيطان الرا. We don't say شيطاني رجيم. شيطان الرا. And the jim has a sifa of shidda, where we should not allow the ayah to run, where we pronounce a jim. So from the middle of the tongue must touch the roof. G. We shouldn't say chi or she. G. And the meme has the common mistake with the meme is that people will not prolong it or will not give the natural ghunna. Rajim. Bismillah ar-rah. Al-ha has a hams, we should also prolong it, right? Ar-Rahman ar-Ra. Common mistake, people say Rahman ar-Rahim or Rahman ar-Rahim. Is either a mistake with a makhraj or with a connection. Rahman ar-Ra. Ar-Rahman ar-Ra. Alhamdulillah. We don't say al. Al-Lam has a sifa of tawassut, where we should also prolong it a bit. Mim also natural ghunna. Alhamdu. Rabbil a, not al-alamin. Some people say al-alamin. Al-ain always light, right? Al-alamin. Maliki, common mistake, people they may prolong a kaf. So Maliki, al-kaf has no mad. Malikiya. We should not say Malikiya. Yawmiddi. Abdel also has a shidda, which means there is no air. Yawmiddi. Not Yawmidti. Iyaka, also some people they prolong a kaf. Iyaka na'budu. It's wrong, right? Iyaka. Na'budu al-ain, we have to prolong it because it has sifa of tawassut. We should not say na'budu. Say na'budu. Ad-dal also nomad. We cannot say na'budu wa iyyak. Some say na'budu wa iyyak. It's not correct. Wa iyyaka nasta'in. As-sin have a sifa of safir, right? Nasta. Ihdina. Al-ha must be pronounced. Ihdina as-say. Say is heavy. Al-ta is also heavy, right? One of the 7 letters. Ihdina as-sirata al-mustaqim. We should not allow the lam to affected by ta. Sirata al-mustaqim. One of the very common mistake, an'amta. People may mostly say an'amta alayhim. It shouldn't be. So أنعمت أنعمت. النون has a صفة of توسط and natural غنة. الميم has صفة of توسط natural غنة. أنعمت عليهم أنعمت عليهم. الغين also heavy. غا not غا. غيري غير المغضوب المغضوب. الغين have a صفة of رخاوة. We have to prolong it, right? المغ and the dot must be prolonged also. مغضو ضو عليهم ولا. This common mistake, people say ولا الضاء. It shouldn't be. اللام always light. ولا الضاء ولا الضاء. So اللام light, then the dot heavy. ولا الضالين. Okay, inshallah, may Allah bless you all, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant all of us a good ending and a barakah in our life, knowledge. Please don't give up. You are a scholar as long as you are learning. The moment you stop, you are what? Jahil. So we should not stop learning. Every day we should learn. Every day we should learn, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among the righteous scholar, al-muttaqeen, al-amilin, those who apply and practice what they have learned. جزاكم الله خير. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.